Alrighty. Hello. Going to go ahead and call the 2018 Black Hills Rapids Annual General Membership Meeting to order. This is where I get to give a couple remarks. Real quick, had a lot of changes this last year. I'll introduce everybody. They'll talk a little bit later. But we have Troy Anderson is the selection coordinator and tournament coordinator. We've got Josh Velder, who is soccer operations. Been around, but new position for him. I'd like to welcome back Dave Sharp as the director of coaching for the club. Same title, but different role. Let him kind of talk about that. Doug Noyes was pretty new into the position of executive director last time we saw you all. And in fact, I wasn't even here yet, so it's been quite the year. So Doug will talk as well. And then we have another change, a major change, one that affects every one of you every weekend, is we have a new field manager, and that is Eric right there. So nobody, it is snow, he cannot control that. So, all right. And Mike Fairchild.
Give him a second so everybody can see him, just because he is going to be the face out of the fields all the time.
There he is. Wait. So we are going to have some guards for him, so he stands out, so we know exactly who he is when he's out there. So, and then Mike Fairchild is the director coordinator for the Academy Pre-Select or Pre-Select, so which is another change that we might bring up tonight, and you'll be hearing some more about. With that, we have the minutes from the last AGM. We had them posted online, we sent out a link, and we have them up here. Anyone have a chance to read them, review them, have any questions, modifications?
Are we in your way?
If there isn't any changes or anything, I would look for a motion to approve the minutes.
Yeah, that's wrong one. Chris Catley that presented it. Those are 16s.
Well, heck, we should like that.
Those are 16s?
Steve, 16. Do we have a different one by chance? Do you have a different one there?
I don't know where that's at.
You see on the very bottom in the middle?
The email I sent you.
It says 2017.
That's not the minutes, that's your financial stuff. You have the right one on the website? UIT guys have 47 link password.
That was, I sent a message.
What?
I sent a message to everyone else.
And that was the voice. Last night. No, but that is your financial stuff.
Financials.
At 6:40. Sent them to Doug.
You better share them.
I just sent them on to you.
Again?
Yeah, this is right now.
Well, there. It's a good thing everybody was on top of that one.
Eric, you'll have to scroll.
So, if anybody has had a chance to review the ones that were posted online or emailed out, or the ones that we have here in front of you. If anyone has any questions or adjustments, let me know. If not, we need a motion to approve these minutes.
I'd update it to 2018 or 17, instead of 16.
So this is approving the minutes from last year's AGM.
Okay.
And then minutes will be taken tonight for this AGM meeting. But part of the protocol is to show the members the meeting, the minutes from the last meeting, and then give you an opportunity to vote for them formally.
Okay, makes sense.
Questions, changes, anything else? If not, I would look for a motion to approve and file the minutes from the last AGM.
I'll motion.
Derek? Got it. Need a second? Brad Murray. Any discussion? Hearing none, I would ask for a vote on approving of the minutes. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Moving right along, we will move into the Executive Director's Report with Mr. Doug Noyes.
I really should have printed this bigger. Otherwise, I'm going to have to put on my glasses. Thank you all for coming. And if you read your, if you look at your agenda, on the back side of it is your ballot. So you are going to give that back. Eventually, I'll explain that after a little bit. But thank you for being here, taking the time out of your nights in the cold weather to come down here. Like Booker said, I'm Doug Noyes. I've been here now. This is my second AGM. I was hired about 6 weeks before the last one. It's been a great year. We've had a lot of changes, a lot of exciting things going on. Had some very significant staff changes, and that has impacted where we are, but it is really is going to make a difference in where we're going. It's been nice to have Eric on board with a fresh look. He is learning turf maintenance from the ground up, which is really good because you guys may not know this, but our field grasses were hand selected at a farm in Oregon. They literally flew somebody from here to Oregon to shop for our field grasses. The issue that we were having is the person that was taking care of them thought they knew how to take care of grass, and as it turns out, they were not taking care of it. We almost lost our field last summer. Eric came along and asked the experts, followed their advice, and I look to have our fields in as good a condition as ever this year. One of the changes that you're going to see this year, and we've started it, and tonight's a good night to talk about it, is that we are no longer going to have the Academy program. It is becoming the pre-select program. That's the reason for that is we went to the national convention and we were talking about Rapid City's Academy program. Academy programs nationwide belong to the super clubs. They're called development academies, shortened to academies. They have surpassed ODP as the pinnacle for play in America right now. And so we would talk about our academy in Rapid City, South Dakota, with clubs that have 20,000 members. Well, we realized we were starting to have a communication problem, and we decided maybe what we should do is call it pre-select, because that is in fact what it is that we have players that are pre-select. Select is our competitive level. It's called competitive because that's the insurance classification we're in, just for your edification. Pre-select is cheaper than that, has some restrictions on it, but it more aptly fits the name of the program. So going forward, when you guys see the word pre-select, it means academy. We have set some goals in the command staff for the club. Historically, what we have done with our coaches is that we have demanded and expected Porsche performance from coaches that we treated like VW. We did next to nothing for them. We basically threw them on the teams. We offered little to no in-service training or development, had no emphasis and push towards licensing or in-service training. And so we're changing that. I graduated from this place. I graduated with a degree in what's now called engineering management. And what I studied was process and how things are produced. And if you think about the club as a factory, and what's our product? Is soccer. It's players that we teach. What is the machine that produces that? It's our coaches. Our club will only be as good as our coaches, whether they are first kicks or whether they are coaching at the highest level. We're only good as those people are. And we want to get better, we've got to make our coaches better. So we're going to be spending time and money doing that. We have set expectations for them. Those expectations we now have for the competitive and pre-select coaches are now tasks with performing X number of training sessions a year, attending X number of tournaments. All of those things now are being monitored. You think about it, everybody here that works has somebody that watches what they do and monitors that performance. Why wouldn't we do that with our folks? We aren't doing that to get rid of them, we're doing that to see where they need help. That help is going to come is that we now require ongoing, continuing education for our coaches. We're making it available in-house, we give them credit for it out-of-house. If they're doing online, they get credit for it, but we want them learning every month. We are issuing clothing to all of our head coaches and all of our assistant coaches. I want our coaches to be noticeable and recognizable on the field. It's part of a professional appearance, and that's what I want people to realize who we are. We are requiring codes of conduct. I'm very disturbed that we had coaches red carded in the last tournament. Should never ever happen. And we'll deal with that, and the expectations is it doesn't happen anymore. I feel a little bit like I'm preaching to the choir because you guys have taken the time to leave your homes and come down here on a cold night to do this. But we should be setting the example for people around us. If we want to be the premier club, our behavior needs to match that. And so from our fans to our coaches to our board, we should be the utmost in professionalism in our behavior as well as our appearance. So those are some of the things that we're doing with the coaches. One of the things that we're also going to do with the coaches is we are moving towards making our club more competitive. I do not like the fact that we go to, and I believe, think about it, in '96, post-22, won the World Series of Legion Baseball. Those were all athletes and kids from Rapid City, South Dakota. If we can do that in baseball, why can't we do that in soccer? Why do we go to the regional tournament and think we're doing well if the goal differential isn't double digits? How do we do that? We do that by trying to get more and more and more competitive. We do that by making our coaches more competitive. We do that by training. Every coach in here, all the coaches, raise your hand, please. All right, all the coaches that, keep them up, all the coaches that coached in rec, before you coached where you are now, drop your hands, please. Yeah, although one person coached in rec, where should we start developing our coaches? Yeah, we got to start developing our coaches in the rec program, don't we? And so that's going to be what we're focusing on. This is a long process. It's exciting. One of the things that we're going to do is we're going to start working on a program where we limit roster sizes at the select and select levels. If I give a coach 20 players, and those players rank from this ability to this ability, what the coaches typically do is coach to disability. You coach to the average. Well, if you think about it, that means that average is if your feet are in the fridge and your head's in the oven, on the average you're okay. And so it's almost impossible for a coach to conduct a meaningful session when he has such a broad spread of skill sets in the players on his field. So we're going to start trying to find a way to get like-skilled kids on like-skilled teams. And we offer everybody the same opportunities. We offer everybody the same level of coaching. We are all about player development. Great players make great teams. And that's what our focus is. But it's very, very hard to do that when you have a kid that is in the ODP pool and a kid that has never played in a competitive game in his life. And we're letting them onto the same team. It's not fair to either of them, and we're going to try to fix that. Watch your emails. You'll be seeing information on it as it comes out. Dave will talk about a program that he's working on that we hope to institute this summer that takes some of those kids that are at the top and the peak of where they are, and we offer them some extra things. We have paid the engineering fees to preliminary begin construction of 4 more fields. We went from having 19 fields, counting Nortimer and Omaha, to having 12. We still have Nortimer, 13. I went back to the city last summer. They have no interest in letting us have any of that old space back. As a matter of fact, they said no. I wanted to release Minnesota Street because we were beating the snot and our fields were dying. The city has no interest in letting us do any of that anymore. We have to expand. We have to find a way to expand our capacity and rest some of the surfaces that we have. So we're going to start hopefully this summer. It's looking pretty good. We're going to try to put in 4 more fields. The second place that we need to build capacity is indoor. Anybody here that has $6 or $7 million that you would like to donate, please find me after the meeting, and we'll talk about it. I think we have an opportunity to move forward, but if you think about it, the city wants to build a new civic center. There's a group of hotels that are looking at putting up a convention center. So it's going to be tough for us to do this, but I think it's important that we try to find a way. I have looked at more property in Rapid City. The only place I haven't been in yet is Toys R Us. But I'm really worried that they've got too many pillars for us to use. That kind of construction puts posts every 18, 16 feet. Doesn't work. Not unless we really want to toughen our kids up. Pretty much I've got to say, each one of these folks will tell you what they're doing in their areas. They're doing great things. Thanks.
Thank you. Moving to the next part would be the competitive program reports. To cover that would be both Troy and Mike. I don't know if we want to arm wrestle to see who goes first to kind of liven it up, but up to you two. Thanks.
I don't know if I'll stand, I'll sit. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Troy Anderson. I've been with the Rapids program, actually as the Select Program Director, since the middle of September, beginning of October. So it's a new role for me, taking on this position. The first couple months was just getting to know the coaches, working out some training schedules, visiting with some parents about changes, ideas, things that they would like to see in our programs. I also as well spent a lot of time trying to find indoor space for our teams. I didn't check Toys R Us, but I also checked Sears just to see where they're at for next year. There are a few things and exciting things that we're looking at doing. The first thing, and it's something that we're working on now, Josh and I have actually spent some time with coaches last year developing this Northern Hills League, which has turned into the Black Hills League, which is now turned into the Western?
Western, it's
Western League? Okay. The exciting part about this is, and it's part of the outreach that we have right now, and we talk about bringing in the best players in the area, it's reaching out to even beyond Rapid City. And setting up this Western League kind of came about last fall when the Northern Hills decided that they wanted someone else to take it over. So working with these coaches to set up games for our kids, games against some Wyoming teams, Spearfish, Bellefouche, trying to think, other Custer, Hot Springs, Gillette, yeah. And now we're even getting to the point that we're looking at even making this a little bit broader. There are teams that are coming into our tournament that we've talked to about this that actually want to sit down and have a little meeting and talk about how they can come during a weekend. Minot can bring some teams just for a weekend and play with us. Or if we're interested in doing the same thing. Talked to Dan Wojcicki up in Billings, wanting to know if they can bring some teams down here as well and just have friendly weekends, something that wouldn't be just geared around tournaments. Of course, it's a tough thing with the working into the Montana teams and the North Dakota teams as their high school season, so they're older teams run in the spring. So we're trying to at least bring some younger teams then after the high school season's over. Do some development or type games, I guess, during our spring and summer season. So hopefully in the next couple weeks, well actually this next tournament, we're going to sit down and have meetings about setting up games for all the coaches. It's something you can see probably in the next couple days, or the coaches that are here. We're going to set together an itinerary for the next President's Cup tournament where we can get in a room and actually schedule some games with 03s, 04s, 05s. And we'll kind of have everything mapped out the next couple days. The indoor league, I think, went fairly well. I'd like to see next year us develop that even a little bit more. One thing that we need to remember is with the indoor league, it's fun. It's developmental, it's more touches. It wasn't geared to be very competitive, and I know that was one area that there was some concern talking to some parents. Gosh, I wish we had referees. We encourage coaches to be there to kind of keep things under control. But what we wanted to do is just kind of open it up. I mean, they call it street soccer, just to give them more touches and have more fun, and that's what we need to be doing more of. So we're looking at some opportunities like that. A couple ideas that we even had is maybe even having a 3v3 type league. This is something that was just in the beginning discussion, where maybe we could take Saturdays and have 3v3. And again, just to create some more excitement. But going back to what I was talking about with this Black Hills League, we're also getting to the point where some of these kids want more. And I'm talking about the kids from Bellefouche and Spearfish. And they want opportunities. And the coaches there want these opportunities for education. They want to be able to come here and work with our coaches and come to coaches meetings. And what we're trying to do, and we've done this in the past, where we've had players from Spearfish join. And part of the problem that we had is we were butting heads, and we were really fighting each other because we were pulling these kids in two different directions. And now the Bellefouche local league was having issues because they couldn't keep kids in their program because they were coming to Rapid City. So what we're going to do is we want to encourage those kids to still be part of their local program, but maybe they can get a little bit more from us. And again, that just helps us. It helps us develop and helps bring great kids to our program. Other than that, I think you touched on coaching education. That's one thing that, again, working with Dave and Doug, we want to make sure that we get, did you talk about grassroots? Are you going to talk about that? Okay, you got that? Other than that, I know everyone's anxious about our training schedules. So also in the next day or two, Josh and I worked out a map for our fields. I think we pretty much have, yeah, Eric's got that too. But I think we have pretty much a plan in place. I think we're looking at the 19th of March. Whether or not coaches want to start that early or if they want to delay it until the 26th. But the 19th of March, I think one of the quadrants out of the complex, we're just going to plan on early sessions being at 5:30, late sessions at 6:45. And then we'll have coaches log into a Google Calendar is what we're hoping to do, which is the only delay. We actually have everything mapped out, but to get our coaches online and ready so that they can sign up for their slots. So instead of doing like an Excel spreadsheet, we want to do a calendar so that coaches actually put in their training time, their training schedule through the end of July or end of June. And part of the reason why we wouldn't want to do that is, like Doug was saying, is we want some accountability. We want to make sure that our coaches are getting in their training sessions and they have, there isn't one coach that's just doing one training session a week and there isn't another one that's doing 3 or 4 a week. It's, and if that's an issue, is there somewhere that we can help? Is it a coach that had issues with their own schedule at work that the rest of the coaching staff can help step in? But the other thing that this does for us, like Josh, he's always bugging us, who's on the fields and when do we need lights? But when we have this training schedule out, then if someone cancels, they go into the schedule, cancel their session, then he knows that he can turn off the lights in the complex. I think that's about it. Any other questions, I guess, for me? All right.
I'm not gonna be near as windy as
I was
it
just gonna
is.
say, I bet you Mike will never let you go first again.
My name's Mike Fairchild. I've been around Stockton Rapid City for a long time. Was part of the community that helped merge the two clubs together. Coaching a couple teams as well right now. I'm really excited about the way the direction is going right now, trying to kind of push us in a more competitive environment. Some of the things I'm looking at with some of the younger teams, the 9s through 12s, is how can we get those training sizes a little bit more manageable. Some of our kids with teams that have 30, 35, 40 kids out there training at one time, are we giving them the best product that we can? Can we find ways to make it a little bit easier on the coaches, a little bit more enjoyable for the kids, so we're not always just kind of playing babysitter, but we're actually coaching them and teaching them what we need to do. I'm also really looking forward to where can we go outside of things. So I'm always kind of on the edge of maybe a little bit too much maybe sometimes, but trying to push us to different places. Just got back from Vegas with one team. They had a lot of fun down there. Got a chance to play a team from Bolivia. So I really enjoyed their time down there. I'm trying to get some of our teams down to Colorado to work with some of their staff as well. Got a conference call with them next week to try and iron out some of the details. So trying to get some of our kids exposed to higher level competition as well as maybe some opportunities with the Rapids inside there. It's one of my kind of main goals that I want to look at here. I'm sure I got most of the rest of it. Like I said, I'll keep mine short and sweet.
One of the other ones, just so everyone's kind of on the same page, is they did mention that they have goals. As Doug said, that we do have benchmarks and different accountabilities that we're putting on our coaches and assistant coaches. We also have those on our executive staff as far as goals, accountability, watching what they're doing and when. One of the things that I've found, having a son that's now a junior in college and a daughter that's a senior, is that as soon as we get done with the U16 year and we found out what tournaments were good, what hotels were good, and what teams we could go play, well then when we moved up to 17 or 18, that knowledge moved right along with us. So you didn't know who to call, what your contact would be with Billings, what your contact would be with Shattering Community College or whoever it would be. Whereas having these guys in these positions, that continuity of what tournaments, what practice times, every time a different group comes in, they instantly think it's best to have the youngest teams train first. Well, having the youngest teams train first means the parents have to take off work, whereas the older kids that drive can go to those, so you kind of get those, and having these guys in a more consistent role is going to help things be able to flow for everyone. We're not constantly reinventing the wheel. So that's that. With that, Josh, you want to give us a quick jump on either soccer operations and recreational real quick and go from there? Thanks.
Hello, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Josh Felder. The last couple of years, I've had the title of the Director of Coaching for the recreational program. This year, I was recently asked to take on the position of the Director of Soccer Operations, which I'll talk about here in a little bit. But it doesn't necessarily mean that I moved away from the recreational program. It's still where my passion is. It's still where I want to keep developing players and coaches, and so that's what I'm still interested in that. So as far as the recreational program goes, our numbers have continued to increase, which is great news because that means we're getting more kids in Rapid City out to play. More and more, we're seeing our younger numbers grow even more, so we're going to hopefully see that trickle through as time goes on. One of the areas that we're seeing growing was just recently our early bird registration just closed, and it was the largest early bird registration ever. So that's great news for two things. One, it means that everybody got to save $25 per registration fee, so that means more money in your pocket, right? That's always good. We try to do that. Which means that we are still one of the most affordable, cheapest programs in town. So that's good news. And second, it allows us to really plan. One of the things that are areas that we're trying to improve on across the board is communication. And so as we can start to plan earlier for the number of teams, the number of coaches, what the fields are going to look like, all that stuff can be done earlier because we can forecast out what our numbers are hopefully going to look like in the end once all the registration is all done. So it really helps us to plan ahead for that. So as far as the recreational program, things are going really well. Since I do have the floor, I'm going to do my shameless plug. We absolutely need one thing. What is the biggest thing that we need in the recreational program? Anybody?
Coaches.
Thank
Volunteers.
you. Volunteer coaches. Thank you, Troy Anderson. Yes, coaches. And because, as I just mentioned, we had the largest registration ever in our early bird, that means we get to stress a little bit more in the next few weeks to try to find those coaches. Out of about 130 coaches we're going to need, we need about 60 to 65 coaches. So if you know of anybody, if you know of any if you have your own time that you'd like to go and help, I'll be here afterwards. The other thing we're looking for, and I'm always looking for ideas. I always look for ideas. I don't think any idea is a wacky idea or a crazy idea. I have enough of those of my own. But if you have an idea of how we can recruit coaches, it is so hard, and it's getting harder and harder, and I'm sure these guys can attest to this. It's getting so hard for us to actually get volunteers to come in. So if you have any ideas of how we can get those volunteers in, please, by all means, let me know. I'm open to, like I said, any of those ideas. I do have to say that our program is run off of volunteers. We also have increased our staff on the recreational side because of my role as moving into the soccer operations stuff. We've increased some personnel. Manuel Gomez has come on as our coordinator for our senior recreational program. That's the U13 on up. So we're going to have a face and a voice out on those fields out in Nortimer all the time, and he's part of that program. Is Manuel here? I'll see him. No. Barb Mustard, we've increased her role. She is our scheduler. So when you guys get your schedules all on your phones or when it's posted online or you get that stuff from Blue Bureau, that's all Barb. She does all this, the behind-the-scenes stuff. Just to give you an idea, every season she schedules up to about 600 games for our club, which is amazing. Think about it. When I stress about 25 games, we have to reschedule for rain or something like that. We also brought on Miranda Mosier, right here. Go ahead, Miranda, say hi.
Hello.
Miranda is our recreational coordinator, field coordinator. Basically what that means is she goes out and she helps me every single weekend go out in the fields, help answer questions, be with the coaches, help set up all the fields. And so she's been a great addition to the team. And the last person, the absolute backbone of the recreational program and actually part of our club that we don't give enough credit to is Darlene Smith.
She loves attention.
I know she does. I did that. So I'm going to hear about this later. So. But yeah, so all of our members on staff, we try to make this work. And anytime you guys have any questions, if you want to talk to me, please don't talk to me about parking. I get enough of those things. We just started another one. But other than that, anything you guys want to talk to me about, I'll be here afterwards, so we can discuss that. As far as so it's a recreational program. Now I'll go into the soccer operations side. What does that mean? I'm still trying to figure it out myself. Yeah. Basically, what I was asked to do was to come in and help to develop new alliances, new partnerships, new opportunities for our club-wide. I was doing a lot of stuff for the recreational program, and the vast majority of people that I was maintaining, for example, coaches' equipment. You know, Doug was talking about increasing our coaching attire and our coaching appeal on the field. Well, when I'm out there and I'm ordering for 150 coaches, I can order for the whole club, and that discount then comes back to the club. So I get a lot of stuff at discounted prices and things. Because we want to move in that direction, they've asked me to take on this role. Okay, fine. One of the things we started to do is we moved to a new uniform vendor. You're going to see an email coming out soon. We have not officially rolled this out because we're not going to go live until the fall of this year. What this means is if you need, or when we start ordering new uniforms, we're going to go through a company called Soccer West. They're out of Seattle, Washington. Everybody's going to get an email, the login, and I'm working right now with our rep with Soccer West to actually make sure that rollout goes nice and smooth. So it's one of those things that we're hopefully going to limit the back orders. We're going to limit the product not being in stock, those kind of things. And so as we move forward with that the uniform stuff, that's kind of where we're going with all that. So, is there anything I missed? I think you're right. No? Anything else?
Sounds good.
No? Okay. If you guys have any questions, I'll be around. So thank you.
Thank you. Committee information. I'll kind of cover that one. Again, we're talking about a lot of things that will be coming out. As years roll along, we get to the point that we get to initiating new committees. We'll be bringing and looking for volunteers with our parent committee that we have, scholarship committees, different different groups that, there'll be different people in charge of those, and then we'll be bringing in our membership to help us, with those committees. So we did a great job. We got a lot of groundwork set last year, and looking forward to, again, growth moving forward.
Hey, Booker,
Yes.
while you're on that, one thing, I'm going to take off one hat and put on the other. Tournaments, making of volunteer committees and helping out with tournaments. I know the President's Cup schedule just came out, so I just want to throw a plug in there that if anyone wants to volunteer or send it out to your teams to volunteer. Last time it was a scramble the last week to get volunteers for President's Cup. So we have a record number of teams again, 166. The Winter Classic, we had 164. So we are tight on time slots. I think we are going at all venues with no open time slots at all between 5 p.m. and 10:15, I think, p.m. on Saturday. And then Sunday, we're up until, I think, 1 o'clock p.m., even at the community center. So, I mean, this is jam-packed. So please, if you can volunteer for the upcoming President's Cup tournament, I would appreciate it.
So would I. Fundraising real quick. Bridget, who's our player accounts manager, got sent home sick today, and she wouldn't even talk to me. She'd only text, so she must have been really sick. So she gave me a couple that I just wanted to throw out to everybody in regards to the fundraising. As some of you know, we did have a couple quirks with the Safeway cards. Those have been rectified. We have new cards in stock, and they are working very well. A little bit of data for that. On the Safeway last year, we had $397,175 go through our club Safeway account. With that, the club received $19,858. Okay, awesome. 145 families is all that took part. Not bad. I mean, that's not quite 50% of those that were available. One family received over 500, 16 received over 300, with an average of 136. Anybody that's doing it, congratulations. Anyone that's not, it's the easiest money you ever made. If you have a credit card that you receive your points on, you receive your points for putting money onto your gift card, and then you receive 5% back to your player's account. I can tell you who the family was that had over 500.
Did you really?
Yeah, we had $683, and I did not pay for one coach's expense, one tournament entry fee, or one anything. It all came out of my daughter's Safeway account.
Just a note about that, you'll buy the reloadable Safeway card for $10 and there's $10 on it. So, you're not paying anything extra for that gift card, but it's a reloadable card that's going to be tied to your player account. If you shop at Safeway at all, I just encourage you to do it.
Gas as well.
Gas, yeah.
It does work for your gas cards, and it doesn't have to be just you. We have a couple that are in my office that, the people go there and they get their gas, they get their groceries. I gave them the $10 card. It was a little bit of a gamble to begin with, but, each time they put $100 on, it only took me 2 months to make it up. So, the other one that we do, now this is one that I don't partake in as much. I don't know as much about it, but I'm kind of kicking myself for not when I look at some of the numbers, and that's our Scripps program. This is everything from the ability to do hotel gift cards to people pay at Buffalo Wild Wings with Scripps. The average rebate that people receive back on their Scripps was 5%. We ran through our Scripps program $617,000. So the math on that, the club, or you, the players, made $25,000 off of that. We had 128 families take part. 3 families made over $1,200. Pays for a lot. 9 families over 500, 26 families over 300, with your average family around $200. You put those two together, soccer becomes much more affordable for you. So we have those in place. There's a couple things that I personally have want to tackle upcoming. Part of it is because, as I mentioned, my daughter is phasing out. I would like to keep those people involved that have done it through an alumni program, that if you're used to it, we continue to use the Safeway cards. It goes into and helps our scholarship program, which then goes back. We do that 3, 4, 5 years. You got 10 kids per team doing it. It's not long, and your seniors, with math, should be able to almost play for free if we all kind of continue to do our part. It'd be a neat kind of legacy that we could hand down. The other one that we did do this last year was the Jolly Lane. Went off very well again. I know we bought a lot that we will be doing again this year, and the Christmas wreaths that we were able to do. So we're always looking for new opportunities. A few of the teams are doing Qdoba cards at different times and different things. So we'll keep sending emails and doing what we can to keep everyone informed on the fundraising front. If you have any questions on the Scripps or the Safeway cards, Bridget or basically anybody on the board should be able to point you to the right person. So, next one would roll into the. Sorry, Dave, I jumped right over you.
Oh, that's okay.
Well, yeah, I saw you just looking at me. So, sorry, I jumped over Dave. DOC competitive report. Thank you.
Yep, so those of you that don't know me, I'm Dave Sharp, the Director of Coaching for the club. I took a year off last year, and Doug talked me into coming back, and I realized that my golf game would never get better, so. So Doug came to me and talked to me about kind of the restructuring of the club, and I thought it was great, and it brought me back so that we have Troy and Mike and Josh who do most of the administrative stuff, and that allows me to be on the field with the coaches, which is what I love to do and what we need the most. So I'm working really hard on coaching education and being out there with the coaches on the field, and I'm now working with all coaches from not just pre-select and select, but also with the rec coaches. Josh and I are putting together a couple of dates where I'll go out and run a couple of coaches clinics for the rec coaches this year. So that should be very helpful and something new. but I'm also doing a lot with the pre-select and select coaches. What I'm working on is about 6 times a month I'm doing model sessions where I run a session with a team and all the coaches are invited to come out and watch those sessions. Kind of gives them some ideas and gives them an opportunity to see how a really competitive session flows. Those have been really successful. But we also invite all the rec coaches to those as well. Everybody's invited to see these model sessions that we're doing. And I think it's helpful for the rec coaches to come out and watch those so they can kind of see where the club's going beyond just the rec program. You know, they have an idea of what the progression is. So those model sessions, like I said, we do about 6 of them a month. And then we get into a classroom about once a month with all the coaches and we talk about a lot of different things, but we also talk about these sessions that we're doing. So we're trying to raise the level of our coaching staff, which already I think we have the best coaching staff in the state. We have a group of very passionate coaches who love the game. They're wanting to coach at the highest level possible. They're wanting to give the best experience for these kids possible, and I think it's amazing what they do already. So, and the fact that on their own time they're coming out and watching these model sessions and going to these classroom sessions it just shows how passionate they are. So, and then on top of that, you may see me sitting on the sidelines watching a session. And so I'm kind of rotating throughout all the teams, and I'm sitting back and doing an evaluation of the sessions that the coaches are doing. I'll take a ton of notes, do an actual evaluation of the session, and then I'll meet with the coaches when we can, and we'll sit down for half hour, an hour, and go over that session, and then I'll give them some tips and pointers and ideas and try to help them make their sessions better. And I'm already seeing massive improvements, so I think it's been really successful. And remember, it's going to be a process. It takes a long time. I mean, we're all still learning. I'm learning every day. Every time I watch sessions, I'm actually learning things too. So, but it's a process that's going to take time. Like I said, we've got a great group of coaches, and hopefully we can keep growing and getting better and getting our kids the best experience possible. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, just feel free to email me or call me anytime. A couple other things, we're still with Andrew Conniff, the coach of the School of Mines men's team here. I'm working with him on the college advisory program to help kids who really want to get into college soccer. It's something that we've had a little bit of success in the past, but we've got to do much better in preparing these kids for college, because ultimately we want to get these kids ready for the next level, the kids that want to play at the next level. So we're putting together a program with Andrew on that. He's already sent out some information. He's got some nights where he's going to be meeting with the players and the parents and kind of helping them through that process, because it is a very confusing process. So some of the other things, since I'm working with all the coaches now, are pre-select and select teams. I'm asking them to do a formation now that's kind of club-wide, and we're also using some language that is more nationally used. Positions, are being called numbers now. I'm sure that you're probably starting to hear some stuff about that, but we're trying to use the same language from the young kids all the way up to the older kids. So, and now when they change coaches or teams or guest play, these players will know what the roles and responsibilities are of a specific position. The language is the same, so it's going to just give us a lot more consistency throughout the program. So, and then finally, I think we're trying to create pathways for all players, and you've heard us talk about that a lot in the past. One thing I think where we're failing a little bit is creating a pathway for those most competitive players. They're always wanting more, and I feel like we can give them more, and we haven't yet. So like Doug said, actually, we're gonna kick it off in the spring. Sorry, Doug. A little sooner than he maybe thought, but it's a pilot program we're gonna do where he talked about the other bigger clubs around the country have their academy program, which is for the most competitive kids. Those are for the kids that want soccer every day of the week. The more you give them, the better. We're going to kick off a pilot program where we are having our kind of modified academy right here in Rapid City. It's going to be for those kids that really want to play at the highest level. We're going to give them some great training, possibly do a couple of really high-level events, and so that's something super excited about. You'll be getting a lot of information about that coming up soon. So we're kind of working out the details, but I'd like to kick it off in the spring. And if it's successful, we can grow it next year. So it's exciting to see that we're going to be able to do that. So anyways, that's about it for me. But if you see me out there, feel free to grab me, ask me questions, whatever. So thanks.
Thank you. One of the other committee informations, we've talked a lot about how important the coaching is in the fields and the administration and whatnot. There's another aspect of the game that, even though sometimes it's not my favorite, it is important to the game, and that falls under the referees. We are lucky enough to have, no, we're not doing 2 minutes with Tony, so stay there. Chad Landis is here. You are the president for West River?
No.
Tony's the rep. Wow, so we don't want 2 minutes with Tony. Whoever's going to talk, there's a referee class coming up. Go ahead.
For those of you that don't know me, Chad Landis. I've been around the soccer community a long time. I'm the South Dakota State Director of Instruction for the referees. Tony Harrison is our West River Referee Association president. It was on the website and I think sent out to your membership. There's a new referee class Saturday, March 24th. From 8:30 to 5 o'clock at the FOP Lodge on Eglin Street. You can always email me. It's one big word, rapidcitysoccerrefs@gmail.com. I'll be able to answer any questions you've got. And I know Doug and Josh and Tony and I met about a month ago, a little over a month ago, and we're going to look at doing some sort of a intro of the laws of the game class for parents or coaches, just to help educate you and maybe other parents on your team. So we'll work on coordinating that still this spring. If you have any questions, holler at us anytime.
Thanks, Ruger. Don't give them the okay to holler at you every time.
Yeah, well, opposite.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes.
Sorry. I told Troy I'd talk about it and I forgot to. U.S. Soccer has replaced their e-licensing course with what's called now a grassroots program. And that's basically what needs to be taken in order for a coach to step up to their D license. And the Rapids are going to be hosting that grassroots program in April. So that's also part of the coaching education process. I'll be there assisting in teaching that course. So hopefully each year we can keep getting U.S. Soccer to come here and do these courses as well.
And if you're coaching a team, your tuition's paid. And rec coaches, everybody. So one more reason to go coach a rec team.
Alrighty. Now, moving to the fun part, the budget. Treasurer, Kathy Bradley.
I'm not sure I appreciate how you said fun part, but it is fun part. Can you guys hear me? No? Can you hear me now?
You must have Sprint.
I have Sprint, T-Mobile. How about now? All right, guys. So Kathy Bradley, I'm your treasurer for today. And so just kind of want to talk a little bit about what I've laid out up here for you. What I tried to do is show you how we've been doing, 2016, 2017, and then this is the budget we put forward for 2018. So off to the side on the right, I've got then our player numbers. You can see our registration income We took a dip in 17, you know, I was a little conservative when I put our budget together for 18, but it is our absolute goal to try to determine how we can think about getting some of those players back that have left the club. How do we make sure that we're offering the program that everybody is looking for, no matter what level of play you're looking to do in Rapid City. So the other things we offer here at Black Hills is our camps. We put on 4 camps this summer, so please be watching for those out there. Sponsorships. If you ever have your business or know of somebody that wants to be sponsoring a tournament, we've got fields, we've got all sorts of ways for businesses to get involved. So send them our way to the board, we'll help them out with that. And then we've got tournaments, as Troy mentioned, we've got another one coming up. Tournaments are a great way for us to make money and try to keep our registration fees down. So we always need volunteers. It's a way to get your volunteer hours in so you can get your $50 volunteer fee back. So please, you know, pass the word around, sign up for some slots and make them a success. And then I recapped, we've got lines and lines of detail, but you know, we've got administrative people from your scheduler, your staff, your player accounts, you know, and then you take a look at what we're doing from the coaching. A lot of emphasis is getting put on developing coaches. While this might take a few years, we know that's the lifeblood of the organization, so that's where we're working to put a lot of emphasis in our club. Camp expenses go right along with those camps that we're going to offer, whether it's the Rapids affiliate camp that comes here or the college coaches camp. There is a cost, you know, to bring those coaches in and to make those camps successful. Program fees, that's what it takes. It takes the insurance, it takes the fields. Well, I've got a different line for the fields down there, but that's all of our player development staff, whether you're coaches, the guys sitting up here in the front, not the board. You're going to get to be a volunteer when you're on the board. Referee fees, tourney expenses, and then grounds. So we've got Eric here. You know, there's a lot of time and effort and money that goes into putting that complex in order, and you've been doing a great job with it, but pretty big line item out there for our fields. And then as we come down and look at 2018, slightly positive. You know, obviously that's our goal, is to make sure that we are breaking even. We're a nonprofit organization, but you can see in the last couple of years, we did have a little bit of excess. And as I take you over to the balance sheet, you're going to see our bank account is growing a little bit. But Doug also told you we're looking to expand. We need more fields. So we've got some expansion efforts on the rise, so all of that is going to take money, but that's kind of the way things are laying out with the club right now. And he's going to take us over to the detail. Yeah. I don't really think we need to go through the line by line, but I would like to take you to the balance sheet then, one more down further, or keep going a little bit further. A little more, up the 4th page. So shrink that to 100%. There you go, maybe even 75. So you can see right now we have a pretty healthy bank account. Those are things that you tend to try to keep. We've always been told as a nonprofit organization, you try to keep about 1 to 2 years of your operating funds in there. You're going to go through ebbs and flows of when you're going to have higher numbers of members, lower number of members. We've got to maintain the complex no matter what. So we've got some good amount of cash sitting there. And like we said, we've been working with an architect to try to get 4 more fields put in out there. And of course, along with that's going to come parking. So when you see the negative accounts receivable, I wanted to hit on that. That means that we've got players that have credit balances in their account. That means they're doing fundraising. If you have a kid in the program, you want your balance to be negative because that means you're not sending a check to the organization. So scripts, if you have questions on that, player accounts with Bridget, any of us up here, use your fundraising activities. It helps you immensely to offset having to write a check in the program. As you see, we've got grocery stock. We buy the Safeway cards and then sell them to you for the same amount we pay for them. Prepaids, we're gonna go ahead and lock up the Civic Center 3 years in advance so that we can always have our tournaments out there. So we've gotta go and lock those up. And then you're gonna see small things. We will go ahead and fund the registration fees, the gym rent, the things like that. We pay for all that up front. You guys are gonna register for tournaments months in advance. And then you're gonna see where all of those charges will come out on your player statements. And then you get down to the big part, and you're gonna see we've got $1 million of assets out there. So always remember, if everybody can do their part, keep our facilities looking great out there, we appreciate that. Roll down into our liabilities, we've got a lot of staff, we've got payroll taxes, we've got volunteer fees. I wanted to talk about that. One of the things that we're doing with our volunteer fees, 5 hours. If you volunteer 5 hours, you get your $50 fee back. Well, at the end of June, you're not eligible to get that back anymore. So, your year starts July, it ends in June. So if you haven't claimed it by that time, it goes back to the club. So what did we do with it this year? We had a scholarship committee. They gave out a lot of scholarships this year. So varying degrees and what have you. So one good thing for you to know is your volunteer fees are going to good use, but we could really use the volunteers for it, just to let you know. Anything else? Any questions from folks as to what you're seeing? Okay, well, I want to talk to you about just a couple more things we want to do that relate to the financials. As I talked about, we're always looking for sponsors. Some of the things we want to do is, we know that rec is the base of the organization. It's the lifeblood. That's where you get these players to start loving this sport. Well, if you've got any kids that have been part of baseball, they're going to do an opening ceremony where they all get their shirts and they walk around. We want to start doing more things like that. So if you've got anybody interested in helping us plan and carry through with some opening ceremony type things for the spring and the fall, come talk to us, because we want to make this be a fun event for everybody out there. And I think that's one of the things we want to do, is just get folks, especially the younger folks, excited to be out there playing. It's a great organization and it's a great complex out there. That's all I have. Unless you have any more questions, unless you have any questions. All right, thanks guys.
I'm going to turn that off because you do not want to hear me through a mic. Yes. Okay. This year we did not, as the board, have any recommendations of anything that we were going to change on the bylaws. So the next order of business would be moving into the election process for our open positions. For that part of it, I'm going to turn the program over to our executive director to explain what we need to do, allow him to have the nominees introduce themselves, I believe, and move that process along.
The way our bylaws are written is all nominations need to come in prior to the board meeting. There's no nominations accepted from the floor unless there aren't enough. Well, the great situation that we have is we actually have true elections. The position of vice president, president-elect, there was only one person interested in fulfilling that position, Chad Williams. Can you please stand up and...
Hi everybody, for those who don't know me, I'm Chad Williams. Got 3 kids in soccer, 1 in select, 1 in academy, and 1 in the rec program. They've been in it for years, and we've been in it for probably 7 years now. Soccer's always been a real positive experience for my kids, and I want to be a part of this program to continue that positivity with everybody else's kids. I agree with everything they're doing and what they said tonight. And I look forward to being part of the process, communicating to the players and the parents about what is competitive soccer, what is competitive development, and what does this club have and what can it produce in terms of a soccer product. I don't think there's enough communication in that regard to the families and to the players to give them a vision and an outline of where can we go from here and how can we get there. So I look forward to being a part of that process, and thanks for letting me do it.
The other position that there's only one candidate offering, and that's treasurer. Derek, let us know, please.
Can everybody hear me okay? Or do I need to use the mic? Huh? You can have the mic. All right, my name is Derek Livestead. For those of you who don't know me, I think I know most everybody in here. I spent 21 years in the Air Force, retired out of Ellsworth here, and we love it here, wanted to stay here. We've spent about 10 of those 21 years here in Rapid City. Our kids have grown up playing all the way from rec soccer. My wife coached both of our boys up through the rec soccer program, and now we've got one in academy, pre-select and the select program. So we've done a lot of great things. We've lived through the merger and the Rushmore versus Rapid City Youth Soccer League and stuff like that. And we've got this great complex, and now I just want to be a part of continuing that. Like I said, our boys came up in rec soccer, and like Kathy already alluded to, and I agree, that's where our kids learn to love this game. And so if we can continue to foster that and grow the program, bigger fields, an indoor field, stadium of some sort, maybe someday down the road. But those are all things that they take time and they take planning, things that we have to plan for with budgets and money and stuff like that, and hopefully be a part of that and grow this into the future. From where we have our soccer complex now, and just expand from here. We are one of the larger cities in this area. There's no reason that we as the Black Hills Rapids shouldn't be the hub of soccer in western South Dakota, North Dakota, even Montana, Wyoming, in this whole area. So anyway.
Thank you. President Beaumont, I believe a motion to unanimously elect these two gentlemen to office would be in order.
Can I get a motion to unanimously, elect the two gentlemen that just introduced themselves, Chad Williams and Derek Pipes?
I motion they are elected to the proper places.
Can I get a second to that?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Thank you.
Hearing none, I would ask for a vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Welcome. It's really not as bad as it might sometimes seem. Moving on to the positions.
There are two individuals nominated for the Recreation Division member. That would be Barrett Went is the first, please.
I can speak loud enough, I think, probably. Barrett Went, I've been in the area about 10 years, have 3 kids in soccer, one with me tonight here. Work at Black Hills Energy in the IT department, and really one of the reasons I want to do this, or that I volunteered, is sitting right here next to me. All 3 of my kids really love soccer, the organization, and they've had a really positive experience. And just give a little bit back. I don't have the patience to be a coach, so maybe I can sit on the board and help with the organization and growing that and making it really the best thing for Rapid City that we can. So
Thank you.
thanks for the opportunity.
The other individual that is nominated for the Recreation Division member at large is Eric Agee.
Hello everyone, my name is Eric Agee. I've been in Rapid City now for a little over 13 years. Moved here from Minnesota. Worked for Black Hills Energy. Same as Barrett. Actually worked with Barrett quite a bit, so I'm a good friend of his. Have 4 kids that have either been in the program or currently in the program. Currently have 3, 2 in rec, 1 in pre-select. One that's kind of gone up through rec and decided that she doesn't want to play past that point. But had the opportunity to be a coach a couple times. But really appreciated the program. I like the analogy that was made about Post 22. We've seen success at a very large scale in Rapid City, and I appreciate the vision that's been laid before us already. on how we can achieve and grow the program and get it to a level that's, has been mentioned here, regional recognition that we're one of the best programs. And so I appreciate that vision and the opportunity to run and be on the board, and with the intent of really working to make that vision a reality for everybody, so we can have a good program for our kids and have a great program that can be recognized throughout the region. So appreciate the opportunity to serve.
Thank you. I'm going to need you to modify your ballot, please. Jake Shad will be nominated for the member-at-large position. There are 2 members that are nominated for the select division member-at-large. The first one is Andrew Bjorson.
Hi, my name is Andrew Bjorson. New to Rapid about 4 years ago. We moved out here to kind of settle down. I grew up in Nebraska and Missouri. I'm a Navy veteran and did about 10 years in the Navy and got out and went to school for computer science. And now I get to work at home every day and sit in my office and do computer science. But I have a son in the select program. He's a 13-year-old, and we love everything about Rapid City and the soccer program and everything that you guys have set up for us. And I'd just like to be a part of it and mentoring young adults, boys and girls, and young men and women, and whatever I can do to help out, that's why I'm here, and I'll be happy to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. The second member from the select division is Luann Tyler.
Hi guys, I'm Luann Tyler. I've been had kids in soccer, been involved in soccer for the last 12 years of my life. I love soccer. It's really become just part of our family. We spend weekends with many of you at soccer tournaments with our kids. I've got one in select, one in pre-select right now. It's, as Doug had mentioned earlier, it's about the players. Yes, I have 2 kids in the program. My kids may think it's all about them, but it really isn't. It's about all of our kids and all of the kids in the community. Who can we reach out? We're a community of 84,000 people. How can we get more into our program? How can we get more kids to play with for our kids? Because my kids at a young age have learned how to win. They've learned how to lose. All of our kids have learned that. And it's just a great place for them to gain friendship, to gain life skills at a young age. I've had kids in the rec program as well. They've grown up into that. My daughter was in the rec program for a few years and decided, despite Troy's best efforts, that she doesn't want to be in soccer still. But yeah, I'm in my adult life world. I am marketing and training director at Highmark Credit Union here in town. So I love to market and teach people new things. I just thank you for the opportunity to let me be part of that board. So thanks.
Thank you. There are 2 candidates for member at large. First one is Mark Averett.
Yeah, I know most of you don't know me because we've only been here for 7 months. We moved here from Wyoming. I've been involved in youth soccer for 17 years now, starting in Denver with my daughter when she was 3. We moved to Wyoming, and I've been coaching my son since he was 3 all the way through U14 with the Sheridan Storm program, if you guys have been over there. My wife was on the Sheridan Storm board. I participated in the tournaments, all of the things with Sheridan Storm, and then onto the 307 elite team with our son. He is a senior this year and has like 3 tournaments left, I think, with your program. So since we've been involved in so much soccer, something that's pretty dear to us, even though you can look at me, I didn't play. But I've become kind of a student of the game, having to learn how to coach as from the rec, and then I got thrown into the more competitive stuff. And it's probably my wife is looking at me going, well, it looks like we're coaching again. I am also an architect. So, as things are looking towards field houses and indoor spaces, you have a little bit of an advantage because I've done some of those. So, not that I would be able to do that, but I do have a little bit of experience with those spaces. So, I would welcome the opportunity to participate with your program.
The next candidate would be Jake Shad.
Let's step over here. Hi, my name's Jake Shad. I've got 2 girls that play soccer, have for the last 11 years with the club, starting with Rapid City Youth Soccer, to Rushmore, ODP, to now with the Rapids, both in the select, well, one in the select and one hope to get back in the select. I've helped with the tournament committees. My wife used to be the tournament director, so I've helped with that. I can't seem to get away from soccer. I'm always volunteering, and I just thought this would be a good opportunity to help continue with that. I think my business experience with helping build the complex with Soccer Rapid City, donating materials, manpower to get that done, and my connections within the business community could help expand that. So if you choose to bring me on, I'd be sure glad to take it on.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, so please, if you would on your ballot, cross his name out of the select and move his name to that open space. We made these, got together, 2 heads are always better than one, and it was pointed out that the way I was going to have it done is that everybody would get 2 bites at the apple, and that's not necessarily right. So we talked to some of the candidates beforehand, and now it's evened out so that you have a choice in every category. Yes, ma'am.
Can we circle the name that we're voting for? Is that
Yes,
right?
please.
Okay.
I teach college. I'm used to people raising their hand.
Where do they turn them in?
Tony, can you help Kathy and Tony do this? Go ahead and select them, please. Fold them in half. You want to pass them this way. At the tournament, whether you have a child involved in the tournament or not, at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon on the 3rd, and at 5 o'clock there are presentations by Holly Strand from the Pennington County Sheriff's Office on internet safety for kids. I've had the opportunity to sit and visit with her. It is freaky scary what's going on out there with our children. I am past having kids using that at home, but I can't recommend enough to y'all that you should go find a way to go listen to her. Very sharp lady, a lot of expertise, and we're offering 2 sessions. One's at 3, one's at 5, so if you get kids playing or something, you'll be able to make one of them. Also recommended for coaches as well.
I can just attest, I've seen her twice now. She's worth every minute of your time. Like, please take time.
Yeah.
Is it in the Civic Center?
Yes, it is. It's upstairs in room G, right above the tournament floor.
Are you going to send something out? Like,
Yes.
okay.
I'll send the flyer. We'll go out by email
Okay.
a couple, 3 times between now and then. One of the things I'm figuring out is that if we send too many emails, people, our viewership does this, and so I try to meter it. I don't.
I'm a manager, so I've noticed that too. Like, I try to minimize the emails.
Yes, ma'am, and keep them short.
Yes.
Is that internet connectivity for the kids to come to?
Absolutely, kids can come as well. Now, what goes with that?
It does get grass. So I would judge like age, like maybe 5th grade, maybe the 6th. Okay. But I, you know,
Now, for the coaching side of the house, we're going to be doing mandatory training for coaches as part of our risk management program on team safety. And this will be conducted by a guy named Robert Aberly, and about an hour, hour and a half, and it's basically how you keep yourself safe as a coach in today's environment. And so that will be required of the coaches to attend that as well. If you think about it, folks, our risk management consists of asking coaches, are you a pervert? If yes, check there. If no, check here. Sign the form. If you check yes, you can't coach. That's not sufficient. Not only that, but we really need to do a better job as we educate our coaches in educating them all the way around, which means that we teach them the rules, ideas, and guidelines on how they should manage their teams to avoid any kind of problems as well.
Do you have a date on that?
No, Aberley is getting back to me. We'll send them here over the next probably 6 weeks.
Okay.
There'll be 2 of them identical on different days.
We do more than ask for a check. We do background checks.
Well, we did. At the National Convention, we got into a discussion about background checks. And to be honest, there's a lot of levels of background checks. The one that soccer uses almost everywhere in this country dips a little bit below the surface, but not a whole lot. It's not enough. As a matter of fact, we're having discussion about whether or not we want to make the investment into with our head coaches, especially coaches that travel with teams, if we don't go deeper on their backgrounds. Here's the other part of it that became apparent is that, and this has happened to us, where a coach came here, gave us his resume. Woo! This guy was awesome on paper. He worked well with kids, and we did that. A couple things happened. Some people got suspicious, did a real background, and found
He wasn't who he thought he was.
his address that he had given in Texas was a derelict church. Didn't really have a home address for him where he lived before, and it was sketchy. And he had the background check done. So we're thinking about getting a little deeper on some things. It's about protecting the children. That's what it's all about. As we move forward, and if you do not make it onto the board, and if you chose not to run for the board, and if you're not a coach or a manager, there are lots of opportunities to serve. We have a growing committee system. For example, I heard 3 potential board members that were all IT guys. There's lots of ways to do it. What we're trying to do is we want to spend money getting better. We don't necessarily want to spend money on doing business. So we could go hire an IT person to work for the club, but I think it would be dumb if we have people that would be willing to contribute in that area. It goes on. After the next board meeting, I'm going to get permission to advertise for a publicist. Who in this room remembers Mary Boyer? For 11 years, Mary Boyer wrote a column for the Rapid City Journal about soccer. 52 times a year for 11 years.
Bonus if you know what the name of the column was. Footnotes.
Footnotes. She's a soccer mom, English teacher, on the board of RCYSL. We realized we were not. How many of you guys are satisfied with the attention we get in the media? Yeah, it stinks. We invite them to all our tournaments. We send them stories, we send them pictures, nothing. So I'm going to go back to the Journal. We need to get a better presence on the internet and a better presence on Facebook, and we need to start pumping articles at these people. That takes time and effort. And I think somewhere out of the 2,000 kids that we have in our program, there's somebody that has some writing skills. So we're going to be asking those people to try to come forward and see what we can do. All right, I'll shut up.
All right. Thank you. Those that just went through quick counted them. I will, in order, announce those that were victorious. For the member at large nomination was Barrett Wendt. For the member-at-large select division was Luann Tyler. And for the member-at-large is Mark Everett, if I said that correctly. So thank you to everybody that came forward, put your names in, and counted. Even though the vote might not have went your way, we definitely could still use your help through committees, scholarship committees, whatever. So don't be surprised if you get contacted again. So thank you everybody on that. I think Doug went through a couple of the key points for the good of the game. I'd now like to just ask if there's anybody that has any questions that we can quickly answer, or directions or comments, or for the good of the game. Someone's got to have something burning inside of them.
I'd like to thank the outgoing board members. Huh?
Steal my thunder.
I stole your thunder, I'm so
Go
sorry.
for it. No.
So, Hooker, I'll let you finish it though.
No, with that, those that have, that are not going to be returning, Brian Pitts, you'll still see him on the field. He's actually working the Stevens High School Central game right now. He'll still be around, but he is leaving after his stint. Kelly Kraus was, I'm hoping, will still work with us. She said that she would. Some of the more eloquently written emails that were sent out recently, that was Kelly. The ones that weren't all run-on sentences that are mine. She did an excellent job for us, and we hope to keep her helping us along in there. And the last one is the person that I think is probably the longest standing. Steve Bauer. Well, Steve's the technical guy. We're going to make him last. Because we're not letting him go till he shows some of his stuff to other people too. But I think Kathy's been on this board now from day one.
No, I did secretary and then I did treasurer.
So she's been the secretary and then now a 2-year stint as the treasurer. So again, thankless, tons and tons of hours there. Thank you. And the IT person and just member at large, Steve Bauer. I don't know if you want to turn the camera just so you can zoom in or anything. But again, all the help with the Facebook posts, the updates on the website, posting in the meetings, helping teach people, setting up the email addresses, a lot of that kind of stuff. He's done a wonderful job, and I thank you. He did promise that he would not completely vanish and continue to help and train, so we're not quite letting him go yet. So with that, if there's anybody else that has anything that we've mentioned that would like to bring up? No? With that, we'll kind of hang around up here if we would. I would look for a motion to adjourn the AGM.
Can the incoming board members please stick around for a few minutes?
Be awesome. Alrighty, can I get a motion?
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion to adjourn the meeting?
I motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second? We got those two. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you.